Hey y'all, it's Caroline from Title Interiors. Today I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on how to hang a drying rack just like this one. This particular option didn't look like this when I first bought it. I added wallpaper to the back and even painted a little bit on the wallpaper because I can't leave well enough alone. But also this particular one has hardware where you can hang it over the back of the door. So if you don't have a wall that would work for your family, look for a door. Super easy. We did hang this in the primary bathroom. I realize that that might not work for every family. However, our laundry room is very small and doesn't have the wall space to be able to accommodate this. Also, it's so small that we would probably decapitate ourselves by trying to use it in there. The primary bathroom had this large wall that served really no purpose, and now it's got this that is super functional and it looks nice. We also have a pool, so we are constantly changing bathing suits and having wet towels that need to be put somewhere. So the bathroom was actually the easiest place. Now, when I say easy, I don't mean because I was having to stand on the edges of the tub to do this. That was a little awkward, and you'll see that. So you might need somebody to help you hold it up while you're trying to do this, depending on where you decide to hang it. I didn't have anybody help me because I'm stubborn. So, but really, it wasn't that hard. I did it by myself in a short amount of time, and it was super easy. So you'll need a few tools. You'll need a drill driver, you will need a tape measure and a level, and you'll need a hammer if you decide to use drywall anchors. Now that depends on your wall, which I'll talk about in the video, but really for a small amount of money, not a lot of tools, not a lot of skill, and not a lot of time, you've got something that will really work for your family. All right, ready? Let's go. Okay, so to hang this large drying rack, I want the top to be level with the trim around the window and the door. Those are the same height. So I'm going to take my large level and kind of set it up here. And I just painted this wall, so I want to be very gentle and I don't want to mess it up because I'm capable of doing that. And so I'm going to mark a little line and try and keep this as level as possible so I know where the top of the drying rack will go. We've got the bubble, world's lightest pencil, and I think we are good. I'm going to have this centered on the tub. I want to be able to use studs to hang the drying rack because it's going to be heavy. You put wet things on there, it's going to be extra heavy. So unfortunately the pre-drilled holes are 14 inches wide. Studs are going to be 16 inches on center. So I'm only going to be able to use one of the studs. So it might not be perfectly centered, but I would rather have something in a stud and the other side with a drywall anchor than perfectly centered with two drywall anchors. Okay, so I have a stud finder, pencil. A little trick I just learned about the stud finder. If you start it in a place where you know there's not a stud, then it's going to be more accurate. Because I feel like this one in particular is a pathological liar, but we're going to try something new. Again, because the pre-drilled holes to hold the drying rack are up higher, I'm going to stand up higher to try and find this, the stud because I don't want to have huge marks on my wall because I just painted. And you should have seen it before. Hot mess. So as I said, I'm going to try and center it on the tub. And it's not going to be perfectly centered because of the place of the stud. But I do want to hang it at least on one side instead. So just double check. So in the back, as I said, there are pre-drilled holes for this. You want to make sure you use a screw that's long enough to actually go into the stud. So as you can see, my finger here and here, that's where the pre-drilled holes are. So let's see. I'm actually going to put a little mark on the top of it. No one's ever going to see it. To show where the holes are, so I can hold it up to the wall, look kind of down over it and see. Okay. And I'm going to extend that line to the front so that when I'm holding it up to these marks for the studs, I can see from the front which will be best. So I'm going to go with this stud, and I think that will be good. Yep. Alright, now I'm going to measure the distance from the top to where the pre-drilled hole is, so I can make sure that I have the right spot when I mark where to drill the pilot hole. It's 2 inches down. So again, I have my level line here, I've got my stud line here, so I would just measure down 2 inches on that stud to drill the pilot hole. Now, one super cool thing is that I covered up the holes with wallpaper. So now I get to find where they are. I'm just gonna poke a little hole through there. So now I can see where I'm actually placing the screws. I'm here at the level line, and now I'm going to come down 2 inches to there. Now, again, they are 14 inches apart, so now I can bring my line over 14 inches and make another spot to drill a pilot hole for the drywall anchor there. But first I'm going to double check that they're 14. Remember that time I said they were 14? They're 13 and 3/4. So again, at my level, so I can make sure that the holes are in the same spot and our drying rack isn't crooked. So as you can see, that one just went straight into the drywall. The other one actually kind of gripped into the stud. So for this side, we're going to put a drywall anchor, and that way the screw has something to go into. I always like like to start with a hole smaller than I think I'm going to need, because nothing is worse than drilling a hole that's too big and then the screw or the drywall anchor just kind of flops around, the screw does nothing. So then you have to go to a toggle bolt or something that's going to be a little bit more substantial, and it's just kind of a pain. Too small. So now I'm going to take a hammer and my drywall anchor and just tap the drywall anchor in. You don't want to like beat the mess out of it. If the hole is too small, then it will end up just bending this, and it's going to be a royal pain, and you have to take it out, and it's just never worth it. So be gentle, and if you need to, make the hole a little bit wider, but the main lesson is just be gentle. Too small. Instead of going around and around and trying to make the hole bigger, I'm just going to use a bigger bit. It's going to be just slightly bit bigger than what I have currently, and it's going to probably result in something much better than sitting here trying to turn this to make it a larger hole, which is just going to end up being messy. What's already happening is that this is bending. It's not like I'm like pounding on it or anything. It's just cheap. Luckily, if you do enough of these projects, you're gonna get a million little screws and things that most of us throw away. The drywall anchors are not a bad idea to keep. In situations like this, it gives you options. You can go through your little drawer of drywall anchors and random screws and things and see if there's something that will work. I'm going to try it again with the new one. If not, then I'll drill a different hole or larger hole and see what I can do. That's not going to work. So once it starts going in, you can actually start hammering a little harder because you want it to go in, right? But at first, be gentle. Okay, as I alluded to with the drywall anchors, this is not like a family heirloom, handmade piece that someone has put lots and lots of time into. In fact, when I got it, the little piece on the back, the little particle board, was already coming off. There were 2 screws missing. You know, we're not talking quality. Also, you get what you pay for. So this is not going to be like something that if when we sell the house, someone's going to buy the house because of this thing. No, we're doing this to serve a purpose. We have a pool. We have lots of towels and bathing suits that are constantly being thrown over something to dry. So I don't have a drying rack. So, because it is kind of cheap, it didn't come with any little rubber stoppers or anything on the back. So instead, I have these little felt pads, 133 pieces. So it would normally go on the feet of your furniture, the legs of your furniture, but instead, I'm gonna put a couple little ones on the back, just so that as we're inevitably pulling things harder than we should, it's not banging against the wall. I just had to replace or repair 2 big holes here from where the towel rack was, and previous, or whoever put it in, I'm not gonna say previous owners, I'm not pointing fingers, but whoever put it in really wanted it to stay and really drilled the holes way too big and ended up having to use toggle bolts. So we're talking like 1/2-inch holes for each screw on each side of the towel rack. So it's a lot of patching. And then, of course, we didn't have the right paint color. Got 2 samples that matched and didn't match. So I had to create by myself a new paint color to match. And I'm gonna tell you, it's like a 98% match. Like, I would never know. So I don't want to go through all that again when I inevitably decide to replace this, because they change things up a lot. So, putting some little felt pads on the back, and then we're gonna attach it to the wall. Okay, so I put the little felt pads here in each corner. As you can see, there are these little tiny screws that keep this back piece on. They're not recessed at all, so they stick out. So honestly, I was a little bit worried about putting the felt pads on because I thought it might make it angle a little bit down, like up towards the top if I had them only at the bottom. But honestly, these are all around, so I kind of have to put something back there. If the screw is not long enough, I have longer screws. I can make this work. As long as I don't fall off the top, which might happen. So another kind of flaw is that the holes for attaching this to the wall are behind this. So in order to attach it, I have to open it. And then it's kind of hard to actually reach in. So we'll see how this goes. This is when it is really handy to have someone help you, which I do, but I'm really stubborn. I'm not gonna do it. This is also the time when I'll be editing out some words. It's up! So I was able to turn this one a little bit to get it into the drywall anchor to hold just a little bit so I can find a hole for this one. Now, this is not a jungle gym. If my daughter tries to climb on this, she will end up very hurt. But for now, we can try stuff! That's actually really cool. So it's up. You can see it's centered-ish on the tub. Yes, there's a bunch of drywall dust and stuff from where I was patching the wall, but it's up. It's up. You can see I added some little touches here because I wanted to use more of the color that was on the wall. And just some little pops of coral because it was feeling a little two-dimensional. And now it feels a little bit more alive. And, oh Lord. Best of all, it functions.